The phone buzzed on my desk for the third time in 10 minutes. It was Mom again. I let it ring, watching it move across my papers like a bug with too much energy. My stomach was already in knots. When it finally stopped, I slowly counted to 10 before checking the voicemail. Jacqueline, sweetheart. Why aren't you answering? It's important. Call me back right away. I'm Jacqueline and I'm 37 years old. Somehow, I've become my family's personal bank. Not because I wanted to, but because years of guilt, pressure, and feeling responsible have pushed me into this role. All because I'm the daughter who's doing well. The phone buzzed again. This time, I picked up. Finally, Mom said, her voice cutting through the speaker. I've been trying to reach you all morning. I was in a meeting, Mom. What's going on? Well, nothing's really wrong, she said, her voice turning sweet in that fake way it always did before asking for money. It's just a small favor. The mortgage is due next week, and your dad's hours got cut again. I pressed my fingers to my forehead. Mom, I paid your mortgage 2 months ago. You said that was the last time. But sweetheart, we're family. Family helps each other. And you're doing great with your business. A few thousand won't hurt you. A few thousand, like the money I gave last month for Lauren's car. Or the time before that for Dad's hospital bills. And the many, many other times I've emptied my savings to help them. I can't keep doing this, I said softly. What did you say? I said I can't. Oh. Before I forget, she cut in. Lauren needs some new furniture for her apartment. Nothing big, just a living room set. I told her you'd help. The pen in my hand snapped in two. Blue ink spread over my fingers like a bruise. You told her what? She saw that nice leather sofa in your office. I said you'd probably be happy to help her get something like it. She's your sister, after all. I looked at the sofa. My heart sank. I had saved for months to buy something that showed how hard I'd worked. But now my mom wanted to turn it into just another thing I owed the family. No, the word came out before I could stop it. Excuse me, she asked. No, Mom. I can't keep doing this. I'm not an A-team. The phone line went quiet. When she finally spoke, her voice had that cold, sharp tone I remembered from when I was a kid. After everything we've done for you, this is how you treat us? By being selfish. Selfish. I let out a laugh, but it sounded more like a cry. I've given you over $70,000 just in the past year. I've put off buying a house, delayed starting a family, and put my whole life on hold just to help everyone else. How is that selfish? We're your family, she shouted. Family takes care of each other. When has anyone ever taken care of me? I asked. The question sat heavy in the air. When's the last time someone asked how I was doing? If I needed help? If I was happy? Oh, so now you're not happy? With your fancy office and expensive furniture? Some people would love to have your life. Grateful? I stood up and started pacing. I built this business from nothing. While you and Dad were sending Lauren money for her third try at college, I was working 2 jobs and eating ramen just to survive. I worked hard for all of this. And now you act like it's yours to hand out? How dare you? No, Mom. How dare you? I'm done. No more money. No more guilt. No more treating me like a walking wallet. You'll regret this, she said, her voice like ice. When your father and I have nowhere to go, when Lauren can't pay her bills, you'll wish you hadn't been so heartless. I looked at my ink-stained fingers, the broken pen on my desk, and everything around me. These things were meant to show success, but they had turned into chains. The only thing I regret is not saying no sooner. She hung up. My phone lit up right away. It was Lauren. How could you do this to Mom? You're so selfish. I thought I could count on you. I blocked them both. My hands were shaking, but my mind felt clear for the first time in years. Then I called my best friend, Helen. Hey, I said when she picked up. Remember when you told me I needed to set boundaries? I think I just burned them all down. She laughed. Girl, it's about time. Want to get coffee and talk about it? For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe. Yes, I said, smiling. Yes, I really do. You should have seen her face when I finally said no. I added, stirring my latte as Helen listened from across the table. It felt like I had done something terribly wrong. My mistake? Standing up for myself. How dare you? Helen joked, rolling her eyes. The cafe was busy with the afternoon crowd, but in our corner booth, I felt safe enough to relax. Helen had been my closest friend since law school, where we bonded over instant noodles and too much homework. They won't stop messaging me, I said, showing her my phone. Mom sent 10 texts saying I'm tearing the family apart, and Lauren is threatening to tell everyone I'm a terrible sister. Let them, Helen said, leaning forward with that serious lawyer look on her face. You know what this is? It's called extinction burst behavior. When people lose their benefits, they panic and push harder until they finally give up. My phone buzzed again. This time it was from my dad. Jacqueline, please call your mother. She's very upset. We really need your help this month. My hands started to shake. Helen reached out and took the phone from me. Enough, she said. We're setting up boundaries right now. What are you doing? I asked as she started typing. Writing an email. Listen. She read aloud. Dear Mom and Dad, I love you, but I will no longer be giving any more money. I gave in the past because I cared, but it's hurting all of us now. I still want a relationship built on love and respect, but money is not part of it anymore. Love, Jacqueline. I can't send that, I said, my voice small. Watch me, she replied and pressed send before I could stop her. There. Now, let's deal with your sister. Right then, the cafe door opened, and I froze. Lauren marched in, her face bright red with anger. Of course, she knew where to find me. I had mentioned this cafe in the family group chat last week. How could you, she shouted, making people turn and look. Mom's crying her eyes out. I started to sink into my seat, but Helen lightly kicked my foot under the table. Her eyes said, stand tall. Lauren, I said, keeping my voice calm. This isn't the place. No, this is the perfect place, she snapped. You sit here in your nice clothes, drinking fancy coffee, while our parents are struggling. What kind of daughter are you? Helen started to get up, but I stopped her with a touch on her arm. I had this. I turned to face my sister, using the same confidence I used at work. I'm the kind of daughter who's tired of being used, I said. I've given everything I could until I had nothing left. And now I'm learning how to say no. But the furniture, she said. What about my furniture? Buy your own furniture, Lauren. Get a job. Take out a loan. Do what grown-ups do when they need money. I did it. You can too. Her face fell. But I can't. My credit is ruined, and no one's hiring in my field. That's not my problem anymore, I said. The words felt strange to say, but they also felt right. I love you, I said, but I'm not responsible for the choices you make. Fine, she snapped. But don't come crying to us when you're all alone with nothing but your money to keep you company. She stormed out of the cafe. As she left, an older woman sitting nearby looked at me and smiled gently. Good for you, dear, she said quietly. I wish I'd had your courage with my own family years ago. My phone buzzed again. This time it was from Mom. The message was different now. How dare you send such a cold email after all we've done for you? Your father and I gave up so much, so you could have a good life. And this is how you repay us? By leaving us when we need you the most? You're no daughter of mine. Helen looked at the message over my shoulder and gave a low whistle. Wow. That changed fast. They really did make sacrifices for me, I said, feeling guilt rise in my chest. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Stop right there, Helen said, holding my hands. Yes, they did what parents are supposed to do. But you've already paid them back in more ways than one. Now they're just using the past to make you feel bad. That's emotional blackmail. I feel sick. That's normal. Setting boundaries is hard. But you know what's harder? Spending your whole life as everyone's personal bank. Just then another message came in, this time from Dad. Your mother's blood pressure is sky high. If anything happens to her, it'll be your fault. Something inside me changed. You're right, I said, turning off my phone. I'm done letting them control me. If they want to be this way, Let's see how they manage without me always giving the money. That's my girl, Helen said, raising her coffee cup. To boundaries and backbone. I lifted my cup too, my hands shaking a little. To freedom. But I had no idea that this was only the start of a much bigger storm. You've got strong numbers, Jacqueline, Johnson said, leaning back in his chair and tapping his pen against my business plan. But you're playing it too safe. You could be one of the top names in the market, not just another small consulting firm. I had gone to Johnson for advice after realizing how much my family stress had slowed down my career. He was one of the city's top business consultants, and his guidance was priceless. What should I do? I asked, trying to ignore another call flashing on my phone. It was from an unknown number, probably Mom again, using someone else's phone. Grow, Johnson said. Make smart partnerships. You've already built a strong base. Now it's time to build something bigger. He slid a business card across the table. Start by talking to Kelly Riley. She's looking for partners in the tech world. This could be your next big step. I almost choked on my water. Kelly Riley? She's my biggest competitor. Exactly, Johnson said. And she'll either become your strongest partner or your biggest problem. You decide. Before I could say anything, my office door flew open. Lauren rushed in, her mascara running down her face. They're taking the house, she cried. Mom and Dad are going to be homeless, and it's all your fault. Johnson raised an eyebrow but stayed quiet. I took a deep breath, remembering what Helen had told me about keeping my boundaries. This is a private business meeting, Lauren. You need to leave.
No.
Not until you fix this. We all know you have the money. I stood up, my voice calm, even though my heart was pounding. Security, please escort my sister out. You're heartless, she yelled, trying to rush at me, but the guard stopped her. You'll regret this. Mom was right. Money has changed you. After she left, Johnson let out a low whistle. Family problems? Something like that, I said, fixing my jacket and trying to stay calm. I'm sorry you had to see that. Don't worry. I've seen worse. But this is why you need to start thinking bigger, he said, tapping the business card. Call Kelly today. 3 hours later, I was sitting in Kelly Riley Modern office downtown. She looked younger than I expected, maybe in her early 50s, with eyes that felt like they could see everything. Johnson says good things about you, she said, skipping any small talk. Says you've got untapped talent. I'm not sure I agree. Excuse me? Your firm is doing well, yes, she said. But you're playing it safe, like someone afraid to take big risks. She pulled up my company's numbers on her tablet. Or like someone who keeps pouring their profits into a black hole. My face got hot. My financial choices are personal. Not if we're going to be business partners, she said, leaning closer. Let me be honest, I don't care about your family issues. I care about results. And right now, your personal life is stopping you from reaching your full potential. You don't know anything about me. I know you've been supporting your whole family for years, she said calmly. I know you've turned down big chances because you didn't have the funds. And I know you're finally ready to stop living like that. She smiled. Am I wrong? I stared at her, not knowing what to say. Here's my offer, she said. We combine our consulting businesses. You'll lead the whole thing. We'll grow into 4 new cities in the next 19 months. No more playing small. No more holding back. And if I say no? I asked. Then I'll go after your top clients one by one until your company is just a footnote in mine, she said with a shrug. Your choice. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Mom, probably full of guilt and blame. I didn't even look at it. I deleted the message. When do we start? I asked.
Kelly's smile grew.
Now that's more like it.
She pulled out a contract.
But first, let's talk numbers. The figures she showed me made my head spin. This wasn't just a good deal, it was huge. It was my chance to build something so big that my family would never be able to guilt me for money again. I have one condition, I said, surprising even myself. I want full control over my department. No interference, no matter what personal drama comes up. Kelly laughed.
Deal.
Welcome to the big leagues, Jacqueline. As I signed the contract, my phone lit up. It was a message from Dad. Your mother is in the hospital. Stress-related panic attack. Hope you're happy. I turned the phone face down and said nothing. For the first time in my life, I was choosing my future over their control. Ready to shake things up? Kelly asked, holding out her hand. I shook it firmly. More than ready. The news of our merger made headlines in the local business world. I was reading an article when my office door slammed open. I jumped. So, this is why you left us? Mom stood in the doorway, holding a newspaper. Too busy making deals with our enemies? I pressed the security button under my desk. How did you even get in here? I told them I was your mother, which I am, though clearly, you've forgotten. She threw the newspaper on my desk. Millions in new money, and you can't even help your own family? My security guard stepped into the room. Ma'am, you need to leave. Don't you dare. Mom screamed. I carried you for 10 months. I gave up everything for you. And now you're having me thrown out like trash? Mrs. Ryan, the guard said gently, please don't make this harder. She grabbed her chest. You're killing me, Jacqueline. The stress, the shame. Is that what you want? For me to die? I kept my voice steady. What I want is for you to leave. Now. As security walked her out, her voice echoed down the hall. My own daughter. My flesh and blood. I was still shaking when Kelly walked in a few minutes later. Interesting scene in the lobby, she said dryly. I'm so sorry. Don't be. Just deal with it. We can't let family drama hurt the business. After she left, my phone rang. It was Lauren. Before you start, I said, answering. I'm not talking about. Mom's in the air, she cut in.
For real this time.
Not just drama. Dad's with her. They're doing tests. My stomach sank. What kind of tests?
Heart.
The doctor said stress is actually harming her. Are you happy now? That's not fair. You know what's not fair? She snapped. I lost my job last week, Lauren said. The startup I worked for shut down. I can't pay my rent. Mom and Dad are losing their house. And you're out there making millions from some big business deal. I rubbed my forehead. Your money problems aren't my responsibility. Oh, really? Then whose are they? Mom and Dad used their retirement savings to put me through college. They took out another loan on the house to help you start your business. That was their decision, I said firmly. And now you're just letting them suffer? She cried. Mom could be dying, and you're sitting in your nice office pretending we don't exist. I'm not pretending anything. I'm setting boundaries. Boundaries, she laughed bitterly. Is that what rich people call walking away from their family? What happened to you, Jacqueline? You used to care about more than just yourself. Her words hit me harder than I wanted to admit. I do care. But I can't keep solving everyone else's problems. Save that speech for your therapist, she snapped. Just know, if anything happens to Mom, it's on you. Then she hung up. I stared at my phone in silence until Helen called. Your sister's posting about you on Facebook, she said right away. It's bad. I opened my computer and saw the post. It was full of old family photos and a bitter message. My sister made millions today while our mom is in the hospital. Money really changes people. Don't believe her lies about being self-made. She built her success off our family sacrifices and left us behind. The comments were worse. Old friends said they were disappointed. Relatives I hadn't seen in years called me selfish. Even some business contacts were chiming in with concerned messages. This is just a tactic, Helen said. They're trying to shame you into giving in again. But what if they're right? What if I really am being selfish?
Stop, she said gently.
Think about why you made this choice. Remember the panic attacks, the sleepless nights, the fear every time they asked for more money. You're not being selfish, Jacqueline. You're finally taking care of yourself. Just then, my office door opened. It was Dad. He looked older, more tired than I'd ever seen him. I'll call you back, I told Helen and hung up. Dad stood there, hands in his pockets, shoulders low. Your mom is asking for you, he said softly. I know you're done helping with money, but she's still your mother and she's scared. I glanced at the photo on my desk. It was from years ago, before money came between us, before every talk turned into a request. I can't go back to the way things used to be, I said quietly. Nobody's asking you to, he replied with a sigh. But is this really how you want things to end? With Facebook fights, security guards, and hospital visits. His words hung in the air between us, heavy with years of hurt. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Kelly. Meeting with big investors tomorrow. Make sure your family drama is handled by then. I looked at my dad's tired face, then at the newspaper on my desk showing my business success, and at the angry Facebook posts from my family. Something had to change. But what? Your mom is telling people you stole money from the family, Helen said as she paced around my office. 5 clients call me asking if it's true. I looked up from my investor presentation. She's saying what? Check your email. Someone forwarded me what she sent to the whole extended family. It's creative. I opened the email and felt sick. Mom had written a long, fake story claiming I stole Dad's inheritance to start my business. She even added fake promises, made-up deals, and lies about unpaid debts. This is crazy, I whispered. There was never any inheritance. Dad's parents died with nothing. She's desperate, Helen said. And desperate people tell big lies. My phone lit up. It was Kelly. Speaking of desperate, I muttered, then answered. Hey, Kelly. Care to explain why people are calling me about financial fraud? Her voice was ice cold. This merger is barely holding together. It's not true, I said quickly. My mom. I don't care who it is, she cut in. Fix it today. Then she hung up. I pressed my forehead against the cold office window, watching cars and people move below. What am I supposed to do? Sue my own mother for lying? If you have to, Helen said. But first, we need to speak up and stop hiding. They're making up stories, and you're staying silent. A knock at the door interrupted us. Johnson walked in, looking serious. I assume you've seen the emails, he said.
Yes.
About the made-up inheritance theft. I'm dealing with it.
No, he said.
I'm talking about your sister's GoFundMe page. My stomach dropped. Her what? He handed me his tablet. There it was. Help save our family home. Our rich sister won't help us. It had old family photos and a sad story about how I had abandoned Mom and Dad when they needed me most. It's going viral, Johnson said. People in the business world are starting to ask questions about your character. This is ridiculous. I stood up, my anger finally boiling over. They're trying to ruin everything I've worked for just because I stopped giving them money. Actually, Helen said, thinking aloud, this might work in our favor. What do you mean? You've tried to keep everything private. Meanwhile, they've used your silence to control the story. Maybe it's time to speak up. Johnson nodded. She's right. That investor meeting tomorrow?
Turn it into a press event.
Announce your new charity. My what? Your foundation, Johnson said. You'll create one to help families learn about money, how to be financially smart and independent. Helen smiled. Show everyone that you're not against helping family. You're just done feeding toxic patterns. I looked at both of them. That's actually a brilliant idea. It gets better, Helen added. We invite your family to the event. Let them try their drama in front of reporters and cameras. Let's see how that goes.
My phone buzzed again.
Another message from Lauren. The GoFundMe is at $180,000. People need to know who you really are. Something inside me went cold.
Do it, I said.
Set up the press conference. And make sure every local news outlet gets an invite. The next 48 hours were nonstop. By morning, the foundation paperwork was complete, the press release was ready, and the conference room was set up. I stood at the podium and watched reporters enter one by one. Then I saw them, Mom, Dad, and Lauren slipping into the back row. Mom wore her best church dress and clutched a handkerchief, clearly playing the victim. Ready? Kelly whispered beside me. Born ready, I replied. I stepped up to the microphone, my voice steady. Thank you all for being here. Today, I'm proud to announce the launch of the Financial Freedom Foundation, a nonprofit focused on ending cycles of financial dependence within families. Mom's face turned pale. This cause is very personal to me, I continued. For years, I watched my own success used against me by the people I loved most. I've been blackmailed, lied about, and accused of stealing, just because I decided to say no. The reporters turned to look at my family. But this isn't about revenge, I said. It's about healing. The foundation will offer education, support, and counseling for families dealing with financial pressure and control. Because sometimes the kindest thing you can do is say no. Lauren stood up, but Dad quickly pulled her back down. Any questions? I asked. A reporter raised his hand. Is it true your family started a GoFundMe, saying you abandoned them? I smiled. Why don't you ask them? They're right there. Every camera turned toward the back row. Mom's face fell as reporters swarmed around them. Well played, Kelly whispered. The investors are impressed. I watched my family quickly leave the room, chased by reporters. This isn't about impressing investors anymore, I said. This is about taking back control of my story. For the first time since all this began, I felt truly strong. Later that day, Helen walked in with her laptop. The press conference video has over 1 million views, she said, placing the laptop on my desk. And the comments, people are sharing their own stories. You've started something real. I opened my mouth to respond, but the office phone rang. My receptionist's voice came through, tense. Jacqueline, your father's here. He says it's urgent. I looked at Helen, who gave me a small nod. Send him up, I told the receptionist. Dad walked in, looking tired and small. Nothing like the strong, serious man I remembered from my childhood. We need to talk, he said. About the GoFundMe? Or Mom's lies about inheritance money? I asked. He dropped into a chair and sighed. Your mother, she's not doing well, Jacqueline. The doctors say her blood pressure is very high. She's talking about selling her wedding ring to pay bills. That's emotional pressure, and you know it, I said. Maybe, he mumbled, rubbing his face. But the foreclosure notice is real. We have 29 days. And you came here expecting? I don't know, he said, glancing around my office, taking in everything he never had. Your mother always handled the money. I just worked and gave her my paycheck. I never asked questions. Well, that ends now, I said firmly. I'm done being the one who fixes everything. But I will help you, if you're willing to help yourself. What does that mean? I pulled out a folder I had prepared for this exact moment. The Foundation's first project includes financial counseling, job support, and debt help. But there are conditions. Like what? Mom has to go to therapy. Both of you have to take financial classes. And the emotional guilt has to stop for good. He looked at the folder in silence. She'll never agree. Then you have a choice, I said. You can stay in her mess, or you can take charge of your own life. His hands shook as he took the folder. And Lauren? She gets the same offer. But no more money games. He nodded slowly. Your mother will see this as turning against her.
No, Dad.
The real betrayal was teaching me that love means handing over money whenever someone asks. He stood up slowly. I'll think about it. After he left, Helen gently squeezed my shoulder. You okay? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Lauren. Dad told us about your offer. You're really making our parents jump through hoops for help? You've changed. I typed back. Yes, I have. I'm not paying for anyone's poor choices anymore. The offer stands if you want real change. Her reply came fast.
Keep your charity.
We don't need your fake help. Helen read over my shoulder. They'll come around. Maybe, I said. But I'm done waiting for their approval. My phone rang again. It was Kelly. The charity gala is set for next month, she said. Every big name in the industry will be there. Make sure your family drama doesn't ruin it. It won't, I promised. Actually, I'm sending them invitations. Are you serious? Trust me. They need to see who they're dealing with now. After I hung up, I smiled. For the first time in a long time, I felt in control. I wrote the invitations carefully. They were formal and professional, with no room for confusion. You are invited to the Financial Freedom Foundation's first gala. You're playing with fire, Helen warned. No, I said. I'm taking back control. They made this public. Let's see how their sad story holds up in front of 100 business leaders. The replies came fast. From Mom. How dare you show off your wealth while we're losing everything? You'll regret this. From Lauren.
Count me in.
I can't wait to show everyone who you really are. From Dad. Is the offer in the folder still open? I forwarded Dad's message to the counselor at the foundation, then turned to Helen. Want to help me pick out a dress for the gala? Something that says successful and unbothered. She grinned. Girl, I thought you'd never ask. As we headed out, I got one last message from Mom. You think you've won? Just wait until the gala. You want to play rough? We'll play rough. Should we be worried? Helen asked. I thought about the security already arranged, the invited press, and the planned live stream.
No.
For the first time, I'm not scared of their threats. Because you're stronger now.
No.
Because I finally understand something. Their power only worked when I let fear control me. And I'm not afraid anymore. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Dad. I signed up for the financial literacy class. Don't tell your mother. I smiled. Maybe there was hope, just not the way I had once imagined. The gala was 3 weeks away. Let them plan whatever they wanted. This time, I'd be ready. The ballroom sparkled with lights and elegance. Powerful guests filled the room. I stood at the entrance in a midnight blue dress, welcoming each person with a calm smile. Security was in place. Cameras were streaming the event to thousands online. Big crowd, Kelly said, joining me. The governor just arrived. Any sign of my family? I asked. Your dad's already inside, she said. Alone. She raised an eyebrow. Should we worry about the others? Before I could answer, a noise came from the front doors. Mom burst in wearing her oldest church dress, Lauren following close behind. There she is. Mom shouted across the ballroom. My rich daughter, who wants to teach us about money while we lose our home. People turned. Phones came out. Cameras rolled. Just as I had expected, I walked toward them calmly.
Mom, Lauren, welcome.
Your table is this way. Don't act polite now. Mom yelled. Not after you embarrassed us in the media. A security guard stepped up. Mrs. Ryan, please lower your voice. Or what? She snapped. You'll throw me out like my daughter threw us out of her life? I saw Dad standing across the room. He looked upset, but he didn't move. That was a good sign. Maybe the counseling was helping. Mom, I said calmly, you have 2 choices. You can join this event with respect or leave. There is no third option. Lauren pulled out her phone, clearly ready to record what would happen next. Go ahead, Mom, she said. Show everyone who she really is. Who I really am. I turned to face the crowd of business leaders and reporters. Let me tell you, I'm someone who gave my family over $70,000 just last year. I paid their mortgage, car bills, and credit cards, all while putting my own dreams on hold. Mom's face turned red. How dare you? I'm someone, I continued, who finally learned that real love doesn't mean letting people use you. That's why I created this foundation, to break the cycle of financial abuse that hurts families. Liar! Mom yelled. She pulled out a stack of papers from her purse. I have proof you stole from us. Security moved forward, but I raised my hand. Let her speak. Everyone should hear this. Mom held up the papers proudly. Bank statements. She took your father's inheritance. The inheritance that never existed. Dad's voice cut through the room. He walked up beside me. Stop, Margaret. There was no inheritance. You know that. Mike, don't you dare. I'm done lying, he said, standing tall. I'm done watching you guilt our daughter. I'm done letting you control me. The room was silent except for the sound of cameras clicking. The foundation helped me open my eyes, Dad said. I've started counseling. I'm taking financial classes. And for the first time in 42 years, I opened a bank account in my own name. Mom's hands trembled. Traitor. You've turned against me too. No, Mom, I said softly. He's choosing healing just like I did. You can too.
Healing.
Lauren said with a smirk. You call this healing? Abandoning your family? This foundation offers real support, I said, pointing around the room. Counseling, education, job training. But you have to want to change. Change? Mom's voice turned sharp. You want change? How about this? She turned to the audience. My daughter slept her way to the top. Gasps spread across the room. Security moved in, gently but firmly leading her out. Lauren followed, still filming, but her face finally showed a hint of doubt. As they left, Kelly came to my side and lightly touched my arm. That couldn't have gone better if we'd planned it. She was right. Everything had been recorded. Every lie exposed. Every offer of real help made public. Our message was clear. Dad stayed by my side while I returned to hosting. I'm sorry, he whispered. I should have stood up to her years ago, Dad said quietly. You're standing up now, I replied. That's what matters. My phone buzzed. A message from Lauren. Mom's crying in the car. Maybe you could send me that job training info? Another buzz. This one from Mom. You'll regret this public shame. Just wait. I showed both messages to Dad. Well, I said, at least one of them is making progress. Your mother won't change, Dad said sadly. But I'm done letting her control things. And I'm proud of you, sweetheart. You've been braver than I ever was. The rest of the evening flew by, speeches, donations, and meeting new people. But the biggest win wasn't the money or the guests. It was the freedom. Later, as I stepped on stage to give my closing speech, I saw Dad in the audience. He sat tall, looking hopeful. Behind him, through the windows, I spotted Mom and Lauren still sitting in the parking lot.
The choice was theirs now.
Just like I had made mine. A cool breeze moved through the courtyard as I unlocked the doors of our new community center. Morning sunlight stretched across the freshly painted walls and new computers inside. Looks amazing in here, Helen said as she followed me in. Hard to believe this used to be your old office. Yeah, I said. Feels right though, turning the place where I used to enable others into a space that teaches independence.
My phone buzzed again.
A message from Lauren. Finished the job training. Got 4 interviews next week. Thanks. She's doing it, I told Helen, showing her the message. That's the 3rd program she's completed. And your mom? Before I could answer, the front door chimed. Dad walked in, looking better than I'd seen him in years. He was here for the group session. He had become one of our strongest counselors, sharing how he went from enabling to taking back control. His divorce from Mom was almost final. He had even moved into his own apartment for the first time in his life. How's Mom handling it? I asked as we walked toward the meeting room. Exactly how you'd expect, he said with a sigh. Still says I abandoned her. But I'm not giving in this time. The room was filling up with people, many with the same lost, tired look I used to see in the mirror. People stuck in toxic cycles, afraid to speak up or walk away. Dad stood at the front of the room and began. Welcome, everyone. Today we're talking about setting boundaries without guilt. Suddenly, the door burst open. Mom stood there, holding the designer handbag I had once bought her, the last expensive gift I ever gave. So this is where you've all been hiding, she said, her voice sharp. Having your little talks about what a horrible mother I am? Mom, I said firmly, this is a private session. You're welcome to schedule your own appointment. Counseling, she scoffed. I don't need counseling. I need my family back, Mom said, turning to the group. Do you know what she did? She left us when we needed her the most. Now she's turned my husband and daughter against me too. One of the older women in the group stood up. Ma'am, she said gently, I used to think like you. I blamed my kids for not helping me, called them selfish when they set boundaries. You know where that got me? Alone. Until this foundation helped me learn that love isn't about money. Mom's face began to fall. But they're all I have. No, Mom, I said softly. We're not all you have. You have you. You have the power to choose. You can choose to get help, to learn how to stand on your own, and to build real relationships, ones that aren't about control or money. I don't know how, she whispered. And for the first time, I heard something real in her voice. Not anger, not blame,
Just fear.
"That's why we're here," Dad said, stepping forward. "We're not here to judge or shame. We're here to break the cycle." "The cycle you created," Mom said, but her voice had no bite. "Yes," Dad replied. "The cycle I helped create and keep going. But it ends now." I pulled out the same folder I'd offered her months ago. "The offer still stands, Mom. Real help. Real change. But you have to choose it." She stared at the folder for a long time. The room was completely quiet. Everyone was watching. Finally, with shaking hands, she reached out and took it. I don't know if I can change," she said softly. "That's okay," the older woman said kindly. "None of us thought we could either. But we're here to support you." Mom slowly sat down in an empty chair, holding the folder tightly like it was something precious. Can I stay for the session?" she asked. I looked at Dad. He gave a small nod. "Of course," I said. "That's what this is for." As Dad continued the group session, my phone buzzed. A message from Kelly. "Merger's done. The empire's built. Ready for phase 2? I looked around the room, at Dad sharing his journey, at Mom quietly listening for once, and at the other families trying to break free from toxic financial habits. I typed back. "Already started. This is more than business now." Another message came in, this one from Lauren.
Got the job.
"First real paycheck in years. I didn't know independence could feel this good." I smiled, thinking about how far I'd come. The fear, the guilt, the freedom, then peace. Across the room, Mom looked at me. She didn't look angry. She didn't look in control. She looked lost. And maybe that was the first real step, being lost before finding a better way forward. I sat down beside her while Dad kept talking. She didn't say a word, but she didn't move away either. It wasn't a perfect ending. Some family patterns take years, maybe even generations, to fully change. But this was a beginning. A real one. A beginning built on honesty, not guilt. On strength, not giving in. And for now, that was enough.